Michael Nagy here with Jiggy Jag TV and discoveringbands.com. And for everyone watching, if you could share this video on my channel and help support the awesome bands I feature. And today I'm here with Bellhead. How you doing today?
Good. How's it going?
Good, good. It's good to have you.
Yep. Thanks again for taking some time on a Saturday night. And not that we have a lot of stuff going on during the pandemic, but at least we get to hang out tonight with you.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have you. Now, you want to start off by giving us a little history about the project, how the band started?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, we're a two-piece. So this is the band, and Ivan and I were in the same band at different times many years ago, and basically, long story short, we kind of got together and said, why don't we try to do a band together? We both have been playing in the same scene. We've played in the same band. We have similar interests. And, Ivan's previous band, Mr. Russia, was kind of going on a hiatus, and I was looking for a new project, and then the rest was history.
Awesome. Now, your EP, it has a very unique name, Unicorn Bones. What does that mean?
Unicorn Bones was an idea I had. I was in, like the end of Raiders from the Lost Ark, when, they go back and back, like where they put the Ark of the Covenant. I was in a situation like that, and I had just the thought in my head, I'm like, this is where you would find the bones of a unicorn, because like it wouldn't be alive there. And it just stuck with me going, that's something, that's an idea, and I just kind of, well, thank you for asking. No one else has asked.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting title, so I'm wondering what it means. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the great history of like Jack Kirby kind of putting words together like boom tube and making them have mother box, they have the meaning where you're like those two words individually, but then when you put them together they have a very visual kind of aesthetic, and it was like, unicorn bones, there, we're on to something.
Cool. And now tell us a little more about the EP, some of the themes and the meaning of it.
Yeah. We just came out recently with our EP, Unicorn Bones, which you can get basically anywhere now. So it's available on Bandcamp, on Apple, Google, Amazon, on Spotify. We came out with 2 singles previously, and so it was time to kind of do the next step in recording. So really, the Unicorn Bones EP is an evolution of kind of our writing throughout like the year and a half. So when we first started, which is very akin to knife or snuff film, Ivan really took kind of the lead with vocals, because he used to kind of front a band. And then, when you get further along in the album, to Sidewinder and Unicorn Bones, that's kind of where we evolved our sound a little bit more. And I was taking on vocals more, which has kind of been where we are at with writing newer songs these days.
I challenged Karen to sing more. My voices have a good compliment. I was like, but you can carry, chorus. We've got a song in the works where Karen's doing all the vocals.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty exciting.
And the CD version of this is available on Bandcamp. There's a physical media there as well. So
yeah, I think definitely with the vocals, that's something that Ivan's been pushing me a lot. So I've played for years and years and years, and I've always kind of done backup vocals and gang vocals, and so this was a challenge, and it's an exciting challenge. When we were recording Runaway, which was our second single, we get the first mix back, and I'm like, can we bury my vocals a little bit more? And Ivan was like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, no, when we were recording that song, Karen was like, my voice is going to be in the back. I'm like, sure. And I'm in the control room. I'm like, the engineer just looks at me. He's like, we're not burying her. No, we're getting her good. Yeah, it's going. Sounded really good. It was just building confidence, trying something new. And, I've produced like a number of my own records and records for other people to know where you got to sometimes give a half truth to then, at the end of the day, go, see, you did the thing. And that's been part of the growth of the sound,
And are you going to have a full-length album coming out?
Eventually.
I mean, the EP was just the first step, and we've talked about what we're doing next. Are we doing another EP, or are we gonna, and we think so, or we're gonna come to do an album? I mean, eventually, yes, we will. But with the ever-changing music landscape, it's like we're listening to what our audience feedback is, and kind of, you know, working with them there. So stick around and find out.
Yeah, and I think it's important, especially with modern social media. You know, content is so important in keeping constant engagement. And when you undertake something like a full length, when you're talking 10, 12 plus songs, you know, that's a lot of downtime that you're going to have. And I think, you know, where we've been successful is that we've kind of had this continual stream of content without at the same time overloading our fans. And so it's kind of a happy mix. So we definitely will have a larger release likely next year, but until then, we actually have another single coming out this month on October 12th, which is really exciting. So it is a cover of Sanity Assassin. And everyone can hear that. Yes, yeah. By Bauhaus. I just assume that everyone knows what that is. But that's coming out on the 12th, and it's going to be a digital release for now. We're also going to do some limited run merch and a couple other surprises, which will be pretty cool.
Awesome. It's interesting that you say your new single's a cover, because it seems like a lot of bands are putting out really good covers lately. And why do you think that is?
I can't speak to what other bands are doing. We got into a situation last year. Bauhaus themselves were doing a tour out of nowhere, because they had said they were done. They weren't, you know, communicating. And so we just did a social media post going like, hey, it's cool that Bauhaus is touring. You know, maybe we should do a Bauhaus cover. And the audience went nuts with, you got to do this song, you got to do that song. And we listened and went, okay, they really want us to do a Bauhaus song. Mm-hmm. What makes sense? And so we put it together, we played it live, and then it was like, well, let's record it, let's do the thing, you know. And like, so having put out the EP to then go, surprise, here's a little Halloween something for you, feels like a good way to not only you know, have another, but tell our audience that we're listening to them. You know, we're interacting with them. We don't do everything they say, but, you know, like within reason. It's like, you know, if you think about like in you know, comic books, like the letters page, and you know, like that kind of like respecting your audience, that you care about what their input is, but also like an audience will sometimes want you to do what you've already done and be hesitant for you to do something new. So you have to kind of also go like, well, we have to lead the ship, you know, so to speak.
Speaking of live music, I saw you were supposed to play with the Birthday Massacre, Julian K. It's a shame that got canceled.
That show got rescheduled three times. Yeah,
it broke our heart.
Yeah,
you know, we were gearing up towards the Unicorn Bones release, and kind of when everything happened. So we were going to be playing with the Birthday Massacre. We actually had a couple other things in the works with kind of national bands, and we had
6 months of shows.
We had 6 months of shows set up, and then it all kind of went down. And you know, there was a couple times where you know, we almost played, then didn't. And you know, so I think that's why we were releasing Sanity Assassin, is to keep going and keep active for our sanity as well, because you know, our love is playing live.
That's been a thing about, you know, I there's other bands that we know who were on tour when the shutdown happened, and it's heartbreaking, and all the work that goes into booking and all that. We thankfully hadn't actually mobilized, but then we had to decide, what are we going to do, and what are we going to do not only to try and stay relevant, but what are we going to do for ourselves? We've put more energy into to working on videos, as kind of what things that we can do, and trying to find ways to not just be interacting with our audience as in buy this thing we made. Like, what other options can we make? What things can we do? So we did a live stream of a show from a venue, and all the proceeds went to the venue if you wanted to tip. But if you wanted to watch it for free, you could just watch it for free. Yeah. And it was, a full show. So things like that, we were trying to find different ways to not just put out a record. It's not to just paywall our merch. I mean, I guess you could stream the music for free, but with Sanity Assassins, we're doing kind of a drop. It's like sort of for a month and a half, there's going to be a line of merch that's limited to coincide, and it's only going to be available in this time period, and that's it. We're not doing it again. So if you're interested and you want to get some of that merch, great. And if not, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. But just to try and keep not only ourselves engaged, but the audience engaged, and then see what their feedback is.
Yeah, that's cool to have limited merchandise like that. I was going to say, speaking of venues, how are the venues in your area doing? Because I know some venues around the U.S. have had to close and stuff. So I was wondering in your area how that is.
Yeah, there's, Chicago is definitely, it has been hit pretty hard with places closing permanently. I mean, we were a hot spot for quite a while. We still have pretty heavy restrictions. I know that there are a few smaller venues, unfortunately, have closed. The good news is there are still quite a few places in Chicago that are going to make it through, that also have been super creative during this time. So, Livewire, which is where we did our live stream, they were doing carry out, they were doing to-go service, they had an outside patio, and now, thankfully, starting this week, they've lifted the restrictions so they can have people inside, but no live music yet. So I think everyone is just, hoping that when we get to the other side of this, that venues will come back. I'm pretty certain, there's at least, 5 or 6 in Chicago that are fine, that will still be there. But there's a couple that, we hope that they make it through.
We also had a couple venues close just prior to this. Like, Chicago is an expensive city. Like, real estate's not cheap, and we're often on lists like up there, not to like the San Francisco, but like within the San Francisco, New York, Chicago is more expensive than it should be, really. I mean, so there are venues that closed just ahead of the shutdown, like Quencher's closed. Yeah. And
there's a couple other local venues.
So it's not just that. I mean, just being a local venue is hard, and trying to be creative to stay in business is harder. Tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I was out there maybe 5-6 years ago and was at Club Neo, and that's a cool venue, but I don't think that exists anymore.
No, Neo's been gone for quite a while, and that's really kind of a sign of the time. So Neo, I mean, if your listeners don't know what it is, it was a very famous kind of goth nightclub that was around for, well over 30 years, and is now David Bowie hung out there, yes. It is now a daycare. So
so is Quenchers.
Yeah.
That might be
maybe that's goth venues turn into daycares or something around here. I don't know. Maybe there's a theme. But there are still cool. I mean, hopefully outside of this there'll be venues still. So
yeah. Now, if people want to find you online, look you up on social media, get your music, how do they do that?
Yeah, we are everywhere. I think the easiest thing to do is to go to our website, which is bellheadband.com, and that actually has all of the links to get anywhere. But we are available on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Also, we're on the radio a bunch, so anyone that still enjoys streaming or local radio, you can hear it on 101 WKQX in Chicago. We're on MMH rock radio in England, so you can hear us there. Also, our physical merch is for sale, as well as physical CDs on Bandcamp. And then, of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter,
Yep. Pinterest.
And anywhere where you can create it, with exception to TikTok. I think we're too old to use TikTok.
You tried to download TikTok, and it was.
I've tried the TikToks. I don't get it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not into it either. And the name of the band, how'd you guys come up with that? Bellhead.
Well, we day one we had a band name, and that was taken. And then day two we had Bellhead.
Yeah.
It was pretty quick. There's something about if the name fits, if you have to force it, I don't know, you start to reconsider everything, like staring into the void. And Bellhead just came real quick, so it was like, good, that works.
Yep.
Weirdly available, like that no one had taken it. So
yeah, it's definitely it's a weird name, but it fits us.
there's a band called the Bellheads or the Bellheads or something like that out there, but we're okay. We're in the clear.
And how did you get into punk post music to begin with?
We're old.
That's what we grew up on.
I mean, that's there's this sort of this spot of bands that like punk, for all of it has its trappings, it has its limitations, and then there was this group of bands that came up, like Bauhaus and Television and magazine being a huge one, that were like, yeah, we could do that, but we could also do other things. And it's sort of it was like the energy, the ethos of punks, but it was like, hey, if you want to use keyboards, you can use keyboards. If you want to play funk song, like, it was less rule based, less also less just punk sometimes has if you're not following the politics, you're not following the music, and we're not a political band. So post-punk has, a nice kind of fit for us.
Yeah, and we also, I mean, we both have done a lot in the industrial scene, especially since Chicago is kind of one of the originators of industrial. But same thing, we don't really fit with that, just like how we don't fit with punk. So I think the great thing about Bellhead, which I love, is that you can fit us into 100 genres, and there's no genres that we fit in. So I think everyone can find something that they enjoy, regardless of what their main love is.
There's something to be said about like what a band sounds like to you, because to someone who might just refer to us as a rock band or a hard rock band or an alternative band, it's like, that's great, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that's if that helps you sleep at night, if that like label, I don't think about writing a song going, well, this doesn't fit. It's more like, what do we want to do now? What haven't we done, or what do we want to do, more of, or let's dip our toe in that. I'll be writing a slower song, and Karen goes, can we get some more rockers? And it's like, I'm working on them. It's like, then Karen sends me, sometimes me writing something slow then makes Karen send me something fast, and so on and so forth.
Awesome. Well, it was good having you and talking with you, and everyone look them up.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man.